It's time for share mode. I'm sharing my candy corns, but a lot of you guys are sharing your feelings about, what else? The Miss America pageant, which went down last night. Yeah, especially in this state. Georgia's Betty Cantrell winning the crown and tweeting this group selfie, while a fan, Whitney, tweeted, "These Southern gals are killing it."
Yeah, they certainly were. Miss America 1984 people. Vanessa Williams was also there last night, returning after 31 years. Now, back in '84, Penthouse magazine bought and published nude pictures of her during her reign, leading to her resignation this year. Williams was asked to be a judge, and she received an apology from the organization regarding that scandal. Let's take a listen.
On behalf of today's organization, I want to apologize to you and to your mother, Miss Helen Williams. I want to apologize for anything that was said or done that made you feel any less the Miss America you are and the Miss America you always will be.
Well, she only had to wait 31 years for that, right? There's some conversations still happening right now about the always entertaining judges' questions. Check it out.
Did Tom Brady cheat?
Did he cheat? That's a really good question. I'm not sure. I think I'd have to be there to see the ball and feel it and make sure it was deflated or not deflated. But if there was question there, then yes, I think he cheated.
The person that I would put on the $10 bill would be Ellen DeGeneres. I think that woman is so amazing.
Do you support a ban on military-style assault weapons?
I don't, but I think it's because we need to increase education.
I think Donald Trump is an entertainer, and I think he says what's on a lot of people's minds, but I think that the Republican Party should be absolutely terrified of all the attention that he is taking from incredible candidates.
Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis was jailed for defying the Supreme Court's order to issue same-sex marriage licenses.
That is her job that she was voted into doing, and that law is a federal law throughout the rest of the country. So yes, she did violate the law there. Thank you.
Lots of very timely questions in that pageant. Let's bring in EJ Dixon from Mike.com to talk all about this. EJ, thanks for being here. Why do you think they issued Vanessa Williams her apology during the pageant?
Right. I think they apologized for a few reasons. I mean, first and foremost, she's one of the most famous former contestants, so it's obviously a good PR move to bring her back. But on the other hand, we live in a different culture now than we did in the early 1980s, where slut-shaming is just less acceptable, especially in the wake of the nude photo hack last year, Celebgate, when celebrities were shamed for having nude photos leaked without their consent. That's essentially what happened to Vanessa Williams back in the 80s. Those photos were not published with her consent. So I think it's a shrewd move on Miss America's part to take note of the backlash to slut-shaming and recognize that we live in a world where it's simply not okay to shame women for their sexuality.
Yeah, but and also, EJ, obviously we've evolved to an extent where it also seems as though some people have a bit of a distaste for pageantry in general, because it seems to overemphasize the aesthetics in people and not necessarily legitimately take into consideration the talent side of things and the question answering side of things. Especially with Miss Georgia, a lot of people were saying her response to the question wasn't very good, the Deflategate situation, but her talent obviously was bar none amazing.
Right. I mean, the question of whether pageants are progressive is, obviously, it's a mixed bag. I happen to have somewhat complex feelings on it because I self-identify as a feminist, but I've also been watching Miss America since I was six. So I do think that the pageant is getting more progressive, albeit in small ways, but it still retains all of the silly traditions that it used to. The bathing suit competition, the silly Deflategate questions. I mean, it's not, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's still the Miss America of yore.
Well, EJ, it's interesting that you bring up the whole feminist thing, because I wonder, do you think that you can't be a feminist and also watch the Miss America pageant at the same time and not be conflicted?
I don't think you can watch Miss America as a feminist and not be conflicted. I think that because, I mean, you can't really make an argument that a bathing suit pageant is feminist. These women are being objectified for their bodies. They're being judged for their bodies. But it's also a scholarship competition, and it's also a competition where women are judged for their intellectual merit as well. So I think to paint it as purely sexist in those black and white terms is pretty reductive. But I think to say that it's empowering and feminist is also reductive. It's obviously it is.
Yeah, EJ, let's just focus on the winner, Miss Georgia, briefly. You know, she tripped on her gown, supposedly, at one point. Her question, as we talked about, the Deflategate, it didn't seem like she had a real grasp on what she wanted to say there. What did you feel about her winning the pageant altogether? You're somebody who's been watching since you're 6, so I consider you the expert.
Right. Hardly an expert, but I don't know. I mean, I definitely thought she was among the least articulate of the contestants. But I mean, in her defense, the other contestants got questions about Black Lives Matter. They got questions about Kim Davis and like real, you know, pressing, urgent political issues. I wouldn't think that Deflategate is a social issue that's of relevance to many Miss America viewers at home or to Miss Georgia. So I'm not exactly surprised that she fluffed it.
I want to bring in Leslie Berklin, a star of Styles, Big Rich Texas, and also a pageant coach and a beauty queen herself. Leslie's joining us on the phone. Leslie, thanks a lot for joining us. What do you think? Miss Georgia winning the pageant, first and foremost, do you agree with that decision? And secondly, in watching some of those questions that they asked some of the pageant contestants, who comes up with those?
I think that the actual judges, they're required to come up with questions, and then, of course, they're verified in advance by the pageant so that they can't ask them something that's, you know, too outrageous or too, you know, just not appropriate.
Yeah, and what do you think about Miss Georgia winning Miss America?
I love that she won because I loved everything about her. I thought that she really did have a great look. I love that her body was actually not perfect. It was just toned, so it's more obtainable for someone else that may be watching the show. I didn't like her answer, but the way I look at it is it doesn't have to be an answer that I agree with. Is it believable? I mean, that was her answer. It wasn't great. I don't think she really understood the question. I don't think she understood that there wasn't a debate, rather the balls were flat or not. It was who did it, who instructed someone to do it. And so I would have been more honest and said, I haven't been following the news. I don't know the answer.
Well, I'll tell you what, maybe she should hire you as a coach next time she's going pageanting. Leslie, thank you so much for joining us by phone. And, of course, EJ, thank you for weighing in as well. We appreciate you both.